Welcome to Voices from the Bench, a dental laboratory podcast. Send us an email at info@voicesfromthebench.com and follow us on Facebook and Instagram. Greetings and welcome to episode 279 of Voices from the Bench. My name is Elvis.
And my name is Barbara. Barbara, what's
Barbara,
up?
what's happening? Well, this is the first time we've connected since Ladies of the Mill.
I know. Unbelievable.
So, a little nervous doing it on stage. I didn't realize how nervous I would be.
Yeah.
It went a lot quicker than I thought it was going to.
Well, I thought it was a lot of fun. Great experience. Great. Jessica and Mandy were amazing. Loved talking to those two on stage. So it was just a good time had by all. I really, really enjoyed myself.
Yeah, and even though we had a little bit of issue of maybe not recording it, I can confirm that it is recorded and it will be out on a future episode.
Excellent.
But another thing they did different this year was speed dating with vendors.
Yeah.
So instead of having vendors with tables, the vendors actually set up and people move from table to table like every 6 or 7 minutes. I didn't even think about this, but we became part of that. So speed dating became us speed recording.
Yeah, it was cool.
It was kind of cool. We talked to 23 people.
Yeah.
All of them just, 6 minutes apiece, if even that. And it was in and out with conversations, but it was a lot of fun. Still getting through all the content. We had a great time, great speakers. Just a big thanks to Jill and Christina for putting it on, and already can't wait for next year.
Unbelievable, because that was finally my first time I was there, and I will be back.
Nice.
Thanks, ladies.
Not Chattanooga.
Yeah.
It's just a hard city to get into.
So, you know how much we love talking about dental shows and even cool courses, which we do quite often. And even if we might not be there, it's always good to know about a place to learn a new skill or two, everybody. So, our good friends at Ivoclar have a great course coming up twice in 2 countries. Jurgen Seger is teaching, which he's amazing, just saying, is teaching a 2-day course. You guys will learn about getting your full arch zirconia cases into correct function and looking beautiful with proper service texture and microlayering. One course is in Canada on September 7th and 8th, and one in Amherst, United States location, September 11th and 12th. You can find the link to register on this episode's website, or you can go to ivoclar.com, select Academy, then Learning Opportunities, and scroll down to find Jurgen's courses. But just because you listen to our podcast, if you use the code VFTB30, you guys are going to save 30% off the registration fee. That's huge. And it gets even better. If you have a friend, if you 2 sign up, you can get 50% off the course. You know what, Elvis? Let's go.
I say let's do it. I have no idea anything about ceramics, but I'm willing to give it a shot.
All you have to do is email nicola.cowell@ivoclar.com. That is a great deal for this 2-day in-depth course. And I know Jurgen personally, and he's amazing. We know that was a lot of information in a very short period of time, but check out this episode's show notes for all of the links and the info.
50% is huge.
Yeah, no doubt.
So, we have not mentioned the race for the future in a while.
Yeah.
And let's just remind everyone that Barb and I are going to be participating in the Chicago Triathlon on August 27th. Holy schmoly, that's like in a month.
Oh, you said holy schmoly. No, it is in a month. And just saying, I did 18 miles on the bike this morning.
I've barely run because it's been so hot and humid here. It's terrible.
I'm sorry about your luck.
But you know what? We're doing it because we want to raise money for the Foundation for Dental Laboratory Technology. So please, 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 this is me begging. Go to dentallabfoundation.org and click Donate Today. Select Race for the Future and sponsor a racer. Now, you can either give all your money to Barb Warner or the Abutments, which is me, Bobby Kenny, and Mark Williamson.
Great. I'm just saying, I really like all 3 of y'all.
Okay, good. No favoritism towards me? Seriously? Really?
No, all 3.
equally. Or you can put in Voices from the Bench and the money will be split evenly. So please go and donate and sponsor today. But this week wraps up all the great conversations we got when we traveled to California with Ivoclar to record at L&T Lab Day West. We talked to a lot of people.
Yes, we did.
And you know what's cool? This week brings back a fan favorite to the podcast that we finally and really enjoyed chatting with in person. So first, we have the pleasure of talking to a 45-year veteran of the industry that is still going strong with a ton of excitement and passion for doing digital removables. Glen Smith from the Apex Dental Lab Group talks about how he has built up the removable department to be 90% digital. 90% blows my mind.
Yeah, that's amazing.
He talks about their workflow, providing 2 digital dentures for the price of 1 analog denture, automating certain steps, and even training new employees. And then the man who makes the teeth for all the movies, Gary Archer.
Oh, yeah.
Gary was on the podcast way back in the day. I forgot to look it up.
Way back in the day.
He was on a while ago.
Yep.
But this time, he updates us on the movies and shows he's been working on. Let's just say a lot of fangs and dancing with somebody. Hint, hint. Seeing his previous work go up for auction and what he actually looks for when he goes to a dental show. So join us as we chat with Glen Smith and Gary Archer.
Did you know that not all zirconia is the same?
Zircad Prime Zirconia from Ivoclar is uniquely produced with gradient technology, which allows 2 powders that normally center at different intervals to be combined into one material which centers uniformly.
The manufacturing process not only optimizes the translucent properties, but it also creates a seamless progression of shade while maintaining optimal strength.
Zircad Prime is now more affordable than ever and will give you the results your dentist will notice. I've seen it, it's true. Contact your local Ivoclar sales representative today to find out more about Prime and how Ivoclar can support your success.
Tell them you heard it on the podcast and get a free Prime disc to try. Just use promo code 723.
And as always, we appreciate your support of the podcast, Ivoclar. Voices from the Bench. The interview.
Dun, dun,
Awesome.
dun.
Here we are, Lab Day West.
Yes.
Still living the dream out here in California, here with our good friends of Ivoclar.
Yep.
And we happen to have Glen Smith,
From Apex.
CDTTE.
Yeah.
How are you, sir?
I'm doing fine.
Yeah?
Yeah, I'm glad to be down here again. I'd love to have gone to Chicago this year, but things didn't happen, so I didn't get out there. But, yeah, good to see some new things on the floor, and that's kind of what I'm out here looking at.
Yeah? Weather's better here than
Yeah,
Chicago.
yeah,
Little
much
bit,
better.
little
I heard it was horrible in Chicago the last
It was a flurry.
The last
and
25, I'd say. No, we give love to those guys, though.
So Barb mentioned you're with Apex.
Yeah.
Yes.
Great group of people.
Yes.
Which lab are you out of?
I'm out of the Lompoc, California.
Where is that?
Yeah, it's north of Santa Barbara, like 40 miles.
Okay.
And then Pismo Beach is another kind of a touristy area,
Yep,
which is
yep.
another 40 miles north. So we're kind of nestled in there. Vandenberg Space Force Base is right by us, which is a newly designated Air Force Base to Space Force Base, and that's where Elon shoots off all of his rockets.
Come on.
Did you
No.
witness the
That's
one
cool.
that?
Yeah, it is very cool, especially when they come back down and it creates a sonic boom, and your windows shake like that.
And you're
Crazy.
building a crown.
Yes, so yeah, it's kind of cool. So when the rockets go off, it never gets old. So we kind of sneak out
that's
the door and
crazy.
kind of take a peek. And
Did you witness the rapid rocket? What do they call it when the last one blew up? They called it something fancy.
I think that was in Texas or Florida.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
So
we have not had
Oh,
any-
that was in
Yeah.
Florida.
Yeah.
Yeah, we haven't had any of those issues on the West Coast.
Yeah,
So
of
Nice.
course
thank God.
not.
Yeah,
Of
yeah.
course not.
So-
So what do you do in the lab?
I manage and I've created the Mike Robertson used to be the owner before Apex bought it, and Mike came to me one day and he said, "Hey, Glenn," I was doing all-on-4 conversions and part of the all-on-4 department, and he said, "Hey, would you like to create a digital removable department?" He says, I'm going to give you a challenge. So I started that like 5 years ago.
Damn.
So it's been a long
That's
journey.
early.
Yeah, so we're about 90%, I'm going to say 90% digital in the removal department.
You're one of the very few people that we've heard that from. Wow.
Yeah,
so you've been successful.
Yeah,
Good
so
for you.
yeah, and it's been a long trip, and with the pandemic happening and everything else, it's taken us a while to get there. It took us a while to get the right printers in place and everything. But then we got an Asiga, so now we were able to do the 510K approved denture bases along with all the IPN resins. So now we're fully launched into doing that whole process now.
Are you a little bit of analog and mostly digital? Do you do the bite blocks, or are you like 100%?
So our digital process starts as either an impression or a scan coming from STL file coming from the doctor. So whichever way the workflow happens, it will either go upstairs so we can print a base plate and a model, or we have the analog model, and then we'll go ahead and send that upstairs, scan it, and do a base plate and wax rim. So we do the wax rim stage.
I hear that a lot, yeah.
Yeah, unless we go to what I've developed is called the GIDP, which is a Genesis Immediate Denture Package, and Genesis is the name that Apex gave our Dentsupply Lucitone denture base, the printed base material. That's what the name
That's your
we get.
trademark?
Yeah,
That's
the
nice.
trademark for that.
Genesis. Huh?
Yeah, the Genesis
I like it.
denture. Yeah,
The rebirth, isn't that what Genesis means?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
So
Oh, look at how smart you are,
It's a Star Trek
Elvis.
reference.
Damn. Oh, okay. I should have known.
So we've got that going, and I created, like I said, the immediate denture package, and that was my way of getting doctors involved. It was super hard to get doctors to say, you know what, I'm ready to go digital. And the only way I was able to do that would start with an immediate transitional denture for a less expensive price.
Yeah.
And then give them a duplicate of that in just a base resin, which is I call the reference denture.
Yeah.
And then they get both those as a transitional denture and the reference denture. When they're ready and healed from the immediate denture, then they take that reference denture, take a wash.
Yep.
The patient gets to wear their denture the whole time, and they never go without a denture. They send that wash to me, and we complete the process with the 510K approved denture base, the Dentsupply one.
Wow.
So
And you get their confidence up.
we're getting their confidence up.
Yep.
The patient gets for $70 less our analog denture, they're getting 2 sets of dentures for the price of one, and everybody's happy.
And
Yeah.
they're happy.
So it's a really good product, and it's worked well and that's the way I got us in the door, and getting more doctors involved in the digital process, because a lot of them were super apprehensive about doing it.
Yeah.
So I went back old school, where we used to do transitional dentures way back 40 years ago, or 45 when I started. So I've been doing this 45 years. So
Digital dentures for 45 years?
Not digital. Yeah, I wish. No, when I started this process, they were just getting out of Vulcanite.
Oh,
Yes,
Lord.
So I tell everybody now, I said, see, I get to see that. I came in at that time. Now I'm getting to see the transition into the 3D. So I know how us old guys are feeling about that transition. But you gotta move along.
It sounds like you embraced the hell out of it, though.
Oh, absolutely. I've embraced it, because it brought my brain, it gave my brain something to chew on for a while.
Yeah,
so,
and you seem super psyched about
yeah,
it. You got a
I'm
lot of
very
energy
passionate
going
about
to
the
it.
digital
Yes, I can
process
tell.
and where it's going to go. I mean, like I said, we started this process 4.5 years ago, and we knew the resins weren't quite where they needed to be, but we needed to start the digital process and learning all the steps, so when the resins caught up, we were at the forefront of everything.
What was the hardest thing, do you think, for you to grasp?
For me, visually, when I first started this trip, was just to be able to see images on the screen and how they can be a positive or a negative.
Yeah.
Your brain's got to kind of get a hold of that.
Sometimes when you're looking on like a denture that's on the screen, you get it turned upside down for like a split second. Your brain's like,
your brain
which way is that going?
But the young kids the young kids understand that, because they're playing games all day long, on the computer. They grew up with that. But for us older techs, that was probably the first thing that I had to just kind of overcome that part of it.
Wrap your brain around.
Yeah, wrap my brain around that. I think the biggest thing in the digital workflow is the transition of going from analog to digital. And when you're in that middle of the part where you're doing workflow analog and digital, to keep those processes flowing properly and staying on time and time lanes and how that all has to work is super difficult.
Yeah.
But I feel once we transition into more where we get away from not so much analog, then everything will smooth out.
Sure.
The waters will get smoother. It's kind of like a storm, and then the waves will calm down and everything will become much smoother. So
Are you doing any analog?
Yeah,
10%,
absolutely.
right?
Yeah,
You
we're
said
doing about
9 to
10%.
But no, what I mean is like finished. Are you still doing any, or
Yeah.
have you switched completely over to digital?
No. So we're digital to a certain extent. I call it a hybrid because we're still doing Ivo-based dentures. We're still processing dentures that
so
way.
you are still
So we are still processing, but we're gaining ground on that and moving into the digital side. So our process is 90%, but the workflow is probably, I'm going to say 30 or maybe 35 digital and 65 analog still. We still are trying to get over that hump and get it all over to the one side. So, what's
the holdup? The doctors?
It's the doctors. It's the doctors, and some of them not wanting to go in that direction at this point. Like I said, some of the cases you can't do that.
Yeah.
We have clinics, and the patients have to sign off that they like the shade and the mold. So if you do the functional try-in and the shade's not spot on, some of those clinics and things like that won't go that process because that patient's taking responsibility and they only have one set every 5 years.
Yeah.
So they kind of it's a legal kind of thing for those clinics. But for the most part, like I said, the younger dentists are really taking it on. They're really liking it. The older clients are kind of a little apprehensive, and they don't really want to go through that process at this time.
Yeah.
But it'll all work out in the end.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
Do you get a lot of fight or pushback from the dentist not getting the wax, the teeth in wax, where it's the printed prototype?
Yeah, so where I'm seeing that is mostly prosthodontists.
Yeah,
The
so
prosthodontist-
surprised.
Yes. Yeah, so they're they go to school to learn that process. So they want to be able to tinker and move teeth, and they want to be able to characterize. Mm-hmm. The younger general dentists, they really don't have a problem with it.
Yeah.
The only thing they like a little contrast. So we'll put a little pink denture-based wax.
Oh, okay.
Wax around from like first bicuspid or first premolar to first
Finesse it a
premolar,
little bit.
just to give it a little contrast.
Smart.
Yeah, and we'll do that. Sometimes we'll even take the light cure base plate materials and we'll put that on there for more
there
of a
you
long.
go. That's a good idea.
We'll bond that for long term. So if case somebody wants to wear it for a while, do a functional try-in and take it for a road test.
Yeah.
Road test. So we're doing a lot of that. We're even doing what we call hybrids, not hybrids, but prototypes. We're all on X's. We're actually milling PMMA full arches. And instead of going straight to zirconia from just a wax try-in, we let them actually wear it for 2 or 3 months just to see if there's any
2 or 3 months. Wow.
Yeah, some of the doctors are letting them wear it for a while just to see if there's any cheek biting issues, tongue biting issues, whether they really like the look of it and how it's going to work, rather than going to that $5,000 restoration.
And PMMA, I mean, that's short money.
That's short money,
For
for a couple $100, it's well worth it.
Heck
That little investment, rather than have this huge problem 4 months into a full arch zirconia, now you've got to eat $5,000.
That's a heck of an offer.
Yeah. Absolutely. So it's an added service, and that added service brings us more customers.
Mm-hmm.
So are you doing this just for the lab you're at, or is this all of Apex?
No, we're pretty much doing it for the lab we're at. We don't have the capacity to take it in for Apex, but Apex has Pro Smiles up north, and I think it's South Dakota or North Dakota. We have Pro Smiles up there that does a lot of full arch. We have down in Texas, we have Perfect Impressions, and we have Summit.
Oh,
and
yeah.
we have,
we know Summit.
We have Gator in Louisiana. They just purchased Gator.
Oh, I know. I saw that.
Yeah, so they purchased Gator. So Gator does a lot of full arch as well. So, we're pretty well versed in a lot of areas. So each laboratory has a certain amount of expertise in certain things, so we kind of feed off of each other.
Yeah.
Sure.
So you said you were here looking at some different things. What are you looking at? Equipment, printers,
Yeah, so
mills?
for me, I'm looking at new things. So the OptiLink, I don't know if you guys seen that OptiLink. It's a verification, an iOS verification jig. One of the vendors has here. I can't remember the name of it. I've got his business card.
Is that like scannable scan bodies?
It is.
That you could do verification jigs?
Yeah, it's by Digital Arches.
Oh.
But what they do is they've come up with a system instead of buying a full facial recognition type system that costs you $40,000 or whatever.
Photogrammetry.
Yeah, photogrammetry. So this one here is like $300. It's on multi-units, and it's a system where you can bond it and do a verification jig and then scan it.
That's interesting.
So it's a relatively inexpensive way of getting your foot in the door of doing digital verified impressions rather than analog. So
interesting.
I'm looking at unique kind of different materials. Different materials that are on the floor and stuff. I've got a good relationship with Hager's. I see they got their new automated washer.
We've got a ton of those. Those are great.
Yeah, we do. And I actually started that relationship with Rocky 2.5 years ago through Robertson, and we've kind of spread through all of our labs. So now we've got Hager's across Apex all over. But yeah, we have the they have the wash station in there, which is pretty nice.
Like it takes it out of the printer, moves it right into the wash, right?
Yeah, right. And it's got like 4 fry baskets,
like a robot.
McDonald's. Yeah. So it's washing, and it's doing a great job from what I'm hearing it's supposed to do. And it actually helps with that process because that's super labor intensive to have somebody in there cleaning and stuff like that with the alcohol fumes and stuff. Because and we have that at our laboratory. We have to vent the windows and make sure we have proper ventilation and everything because those alcohol fumes in the room can
bad for the human body. That's for sure.
So
does it also automatically get into a light cure box?
No, it doesn't. It just throws it in a drawer and it's up to the technician to come grab it and then.
That's the next step, though.
No, I'm sure it is. I'm sure there's going to be a little conveyor belt or something going to happen. So I have that relationship with them. Rocky is a really good friend of mine, and then I have a lot of other vendors that I've known throughout the place, and a lot of great people. So I'm just out here just trying to see what's new, what can be advantageous for me, and in the process and the place I'm at at this particular point at our lab. So
You've been doing this for how long?
45 years.
And you sound so passionate about this whole digital. It's great to hear.
Everybody tells me I'll stand on that soapbox all day long.
Yeah, but usually you hear about, I've been doing this for 40 years and I'm ready to.
I don't. I was just talking to Rocky. Rocky has asked me, he goes, when are you going to retire? When can you retire? I said,
Never.
Well, I'm 64 now, so I could retire next year or in 2 years or whatever. 67, they think is the age.
Yeah. I
really don't want to because I've loved. It was dumb luck that I found myself in this profession. I went through the Academy of Health Sciences at Fort Sam Houston. And it's been, I haven't turned back, haven't looked back since. So
looks like it's been good to you.
Yeah, it has been good to me. So yeah, I'm planning on doing it for much longer and passing the knowledge on because we all know that's a huge problem in our industry right now with removable. I think it's like 8 accredited schools across the United States.
It's horrible.
And I really think we need to, as a group, as part of as a whole, we need to kind of promote getting more schools out there because we certainly have a lack of skilled technicians coming in. I'm teaching. We're pulling in green people at our lab, and I'm teaching them. So that's another role I have. So, and I'm happy to do that because I can't take this with me anyway.
Yeah.
But I'd rather pass all this on to somebody else that can benefit their life as well.
So when you say you're teaching, do you have like how?
Yeah, so we use ADP has some protocols in there, and we use PTC and certain tools that are available to us in there, and then we put them through a initial onboarding. Well, they'll do some certain modules, and we just started that. One of our regionals, a new regional, Jerry Scheifelbein, has started with Apex.
Nice.
So yeah, in our region. So I think that's happening across Apex. But yeah, we've seen that there's a need for education and getting people up to par.
Totally.
Yeah.
Completely agree. Yeah. I love hearing that.
Yeah, and I wish there was something we could do. Like the state of California, I think there's only 2 in the state now. I think we've got LA City College, and there's only 2 in California.
I know.
And there used to be 1 in every junior college, it seemed like at one time.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was 1 in everybody's backyard, but it's kind of a sad situation.
Yeah.
But I guess it is what it is. But we really
but that's
need
why
to
we got to take it on.
Yeah, absolutely. We have to figure out a
to
remedy for this situation.
Labs have to do it themselves.
Well, that's exactly what's happening.
Yeah.
Really, it is happening, that's happening in that direction. But I mean, I wish it didn't have to be that way.
No, yeah.
That's another task put onto technicians that kind of need to focus on other things sometimes. But
we have all sorts of free time to worry about.
Yeah, I know. I think
we don't have any due dates
amongst my 12 hours of working a day. I think I've got a couple extra.
Never. Maybe the weekends, right? Are you finding that you're training younger technicians like for that removable?
Yeah,
are you kind of trying to bring them in? How are you guys finding people like the technicians?
So what we do is we kind of look at our drivers when we hire drivers on, and kind of look at if they have an interest, if they're kind of mulling around the lab after they've done their job for the day driving, and they're like have an interest in it, and they show that. Then we kind of show an interest back in them as well. Yeah. And I have
really
one
smart.
talented young man that works for me. He was a driver 2 years ago. He's setting teeth on my bench and everything. His name is Francisco Alvarado. He's a great kid, and he knows what he's doing.
Huh?
Yeah, in 2 years. beautiful setups, everything. So, yeah.
Most places hire drivers that are like semi-retired. You're hiring younger drivers.
Yeah, we have a few. We've gone that route now recently because the younger ones are harder to find for some reason. I'm not sure if they're what the deal is, and that's a pandemic-related thing as well. But, we've actually hired a few older drivers recently. But, some of the younger ones have gone into the department. Some will work out, some haven't. Some did, they thought they had an interest in it, and then they found out, this is not for me.
I just want to drive around,
Yeah, I just want to drive on. Can you get me back into driving? So, yeah, so... We just try to pick them out. Like I tell anybody, if you have any baking background, if you have anything, you ever make candles as a kid as wax, you ever done any jewelry with your dad, jewelry making, anything, any hobbies like that as a kid, those are perfect people to try to go as candidates because they know how to mix.
What about video game players?
That's CAD. We're talking CAD.
That's 10 years ago.
That's a CAD person. And you can teach CAD people as well.
Yes.
Yeah.
Awesome, Glenn. Thank you so much for sitting down with us.
We appreciate it.
Yeah.
Enjoy the rest of the weekend.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Take care.
Bye.
Yeah, there you go.
Sound test. Sound test.
There
1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3.
You're a lot louder than the last guy.
I tend to shout a lot.
Am I recording? I am so super excited.
We are. Dun, dun,
One of our
dun.
all-time legendary guests that we've ever had on the podcast, and not to downgrade any other guest we've had.
No, absolutely
but
not.
This is Gary Archer.
The Gary Archer.
This is a guy. You know what movie I watched on the plane here?
What did you say?
Austin Powers.
That's like my signature.
I know.
That's like that'll be my legacy.
I didn't even put the connection together. I was like, I was on Southwest. I was like, I got nothing to do for like 2 hours.
The teeth? I know.
I made the teeth.
Yep.
And you know what?
Wait.
I don't think I've watched it since I've gotten to know you. And I'm watching it.
And
they do a lot of close-ups of those teeth in that movie.
I know. And the funny thing is, I have been getting not harassment, but I get aggravation from people in so many times. You're the one that's responsible for this bad British teeth business. It's your fault. It's your fault that everyone blames British people for having bad teeth. I'm like, it's not my fault.
No, I blame Mighty
teeth.
Python. They had some pretty bad teeth back then too. And
it's a thing. It's a real thing.
It really was, because when Mike came to us originally, he had this book of and I can't remember the name of it. It was a book that he had of all of these. Either they were famous politicians or famous people, and he said, "Look at all the rotten teeth they've got. Look at all this. Look at all that." And I told you way back when how I came up with the actual design, and I was sitting in the pub where I used to go and drink, and I sat there sketching stuff on the back of cocktail napkins, and the barman, who was a great guy, good friend of mine. I'm not going to name any names, but he had the most horrific set of teeth. They were all over the place. They looked like a row of bombed houses. And that is basically how we came up with the design for Mike. And he loved them. The first design, that was the first design we came up with. He said, "I love it, don't touch it." And he went with it. And then we did 3 films with it.
That's awesome.
Cool. So did you have to update them, or did you use this first set, second set? How did that work?
We did the first sets we did for the first film. And then
at the end of the movie, he gets them fixed.
Right.
I saw this 2 days ago.
Yep, he gets them fixed. And the thing is, without his teeth, he's not really Austin Powers. He's Mike Myers in a pair of glasses.
Yeah,
true.
Yeah.
So when they wrote Austin Powers 2, they went ahead. They said, "Well, we've got to give him back his bad teeth." So they had this whole, the time machine and the going back in time, and he gets the bad teeth back. And we had updated different manufacturing processes over the years. We made them in different ways. And, we copied the same design. But these are some years later, and any time that we do stuff for the film studios, they take all of their stuff, which they call assets, and it goes into a big box, which goes into a big warehouse. If you remember the scene from Indiana Jones, where at the end of
the Ark,
it's nailed into a crate and it goes into a warehouse, and that's
endless.
And that's exactly what some of these film archives are like.
Really?
They take all of the props, they take all of the materials, they take all of the costumes, all the stuff that they consider as assets, and they go ahead and archive all the stuff. And then it promptly disappears. and no one knows where it goes. No one's. We saved it. Where is it? I don't know.
Yeah.
And then it either gets thrown away. Sometimes things find their way onto the prop market, and there's a huge market for screen used props. And
have you ever seen your teeth up on that market?
Oh yeah. I've seen Interview with the Vampire teeth. I've seen Blade teeth. I've seen Austin Powers teeth. I've seen fake braces from Charlie's Angels. I've seen all of this stuff, and I'm like, oh, interesting. And I've also seen a lot of fakes up there.
Really?
Fake pieces that were put out there, and someone's turned around and said, oh, this piece was made by Gary Archer, and I've called the auction house. I said, no, it bloody wasn't. I said, that's not my work. I said, someone can put their name to it. I said, but I know my work, and that's not mine. And
do they do anything about that, or do they?
Oh no, they will contact the seller, and they will say, hey, this is not legit because we've been contacted by the guy that made it. And,
do you have to sign a certificate of authenticity?
I do. When stuff is on there, a lot of times I'll get contacted. Especially when people find these. When people find these things, and I don't ask too many times where it comes from. But someone will contact me and say, look, I've got this stuff that I bought on an auction. There's a guy in Canada who buys a lot of screen-used dental props. And he found me out and he contacted me. And he said, look, would you be able to identify? I said, I can totally identify my work. A, I've got a record of everything that I've ever done. And B, I'll be more than happy to say that this is an authentic piece that was designed by me or made by me or something like that. So we do all that type of stuff.
You get a cut of the sale or anything?
No. Wouldn't that be nice? I've sold them once and now I get to sell them again.
Yeah.
Wouldn't that be handy?
Yeah.
So have you done anything lately that you can cue us in on?
We are
next movie I see, I'll maybe looking for your work.
We now working on season 2 of the new Interview with the Vampire series, the AMC
there's
series.
A TV show. I know.
We did. We did season 1. I don't know if you guys saw it.
I'm going to check it out now.
Yeah, Jacob Anderson, Sam Reed, Bailey Bass.
So do every one of them? Mm-hmm. Every one of the characters?
I had the most wonderful help on season 1. Started in 2021, as you guys know. Everything was locked down. Yeah. COVID. So there was no way of getting people in, doing fittings, doing tests. Sure. I was contacted by Howard Berger up at K&B, and he's an amazing effects makeup studio, one of the industry's leaders. And he knew that I had done the teeth on the original Interview with the Vampire, and he said, look, I'd like you to run the dental department for us. And I'm like,
because
okay.
you did the original movie, which is what, 30 years ago?
1998, I think that
Long
was.
time
ago. Yeah.
Original. We
That's
did the original
great
6
that they
years,
went
6
back
vampires.
to the,
So he asked us to run the dental department. I said, it would be an absolute honor. He said, but there's a problem. I'm like, you got me there.
Son of a bitch.
Yeah. He said, we got Sam Reed, who's locked down in Australia. We've got Jacob Anderson, who's locked down in London. And we've got Bailey Bass, who is in New York. And so what I did, I called in.
And there.
Literally all over 3 continents. So I called in 2 dental technician effects artists who I've known for many years. I got hold of the wonderful Jack Charlton down in Gold Coast, Australia. Mm-hmm. And I got a hold of Dominic Monbrun over at Bite Makers over in the UK. And Dominic and I have cooperated on a lot of things over the years. But Jack and I, we've known each other for many years, but this was the first time that I was able to, directly collaborate on something. And I said, look, guys, we had this 2-hour phone conversation. I said, look, here's the deal. We've got 3 actors. They're in 3 separate places. They don't fly into New Orleans until literally a week before we start shooting. Wow. And everybody's going to be in a, COVID, quote-unquote, COVID bubble. Yeah. So we can't go backwards and forwards doing test fittings and stuff like that. I said, you guys are going to, I want to bring you guys in on the dental team. You each will have a character, and we are going to be doing things digitally. So
Thank God, right?
So first thing we did, we got everybody scanned. Everyone had a intraoral scan in their home country. They were able to get those done. We then brought the scans together, We spoke to the makeup designers at K&B. What did they want? What type of teeth they wanted? The directors weren't quite sure exactly what they wanted. Did they want to go from we started off with the original fangs, like we did off the original Interview with a Vampire. They wanted to go a different direction. They didn't want them to be monstrous vampires. They wanted them to be beautiful creatures, and this was Howard's vision.
That's so interesting.
He wanted them to be really, really good looking, and if you see the show, you'll see what I mean. In comparison, just glowing and beautiful and elegant and just unbelievable. So after doing, I think we must have made almost 100 different sets
per person.
No, in total for the three people.
Yeah, still 100.
So what?
For
each
3.
of them you just tweaked a little bit differently.
Longer,
line angles,
longer.
corners.
We did single teeth. We did We did a resting fang. We did.
What the hell's a resting fang?
It's a resting fang. That's a very good question, actually. It's like a very, very slight elongated cuspid.
Okay.
It would be like if
So
you took like a denture tooth and kind of pointed it a little bit. So it's got that, you see people like that. You see mouths like that. Just those little points on the cuspid.
Okay.
You do Crown and Bridge stuff.
Yeah.
Do all that stuff.
Well, I would say elongated cuspid, not a fang. So that
exactly.
totally makes sense to me.
So we did those elongated cuspids to start with. And then they have like just a regular fang, which is obviously now we're tapering down, and then they go into an attack or a feeding fang, which is their monstrous, their big attack thing, which is big and huge and spiky.
So the mouth changes with the scene?
Yes.
Crazy.
It does, and of course with visual effects, and the visual effects people are amazing as well. We give them the scans, and we give them models of each stage, and of course they can do it. They can make it morph on screen. Looks like the fang is actually growing.
So
there's
your prosthetic at the beginning and end, and it's all digital.
Right.
That's
exactly.
Cool.
Exactly. So they do that in a couple of scenes. But stepping back, we tried all these different looks. There was a 2-fang look. There was a 3-fang look. There was 3 fangs with all sorts of cuts in them, and we made these really over-the-top monsterish ones, and in the end they decided they wanted to go just with the simple single-tooth fangs at the end, which look amazing, and we ended up milling all of them. They were actually milled out of solid blocks of PMMA, which is
So they just fit right
standard.
over the teeth.
Yep, they fit right over the teeth, and there's a little rochette that goes around the back of the bicuspid, just to give it that little extra click for retention. You just take it just into the undercut, and they just push on in, and they're very, very thin, and they're very, very delicate. And I thought to myself, we're going to be breaking these all the time. But you know what? Tammy Lane, who is the makeup department head, she was amazing. We broke literally one set of fangs because someone went outside for a smoke. One of the actors, and I'm not going to name names, went outside for a smoke break and took them out and left and put them down on a bench, and they fell on the floor and someone trod on them. And even that, because they were PMMA, they called me up. They said, "Oh, we've got a broken set." I said, "Send it back." And they overnighted it from New Orleans. They sent it back to me, and it's PMMA, and I knew exactly the shade. So it was just
one.
No, I just went ahead and we did a repair. It was just a simple. It was a simple PMMA repair. Polished it, stained it, glazed it. It went back out that afternoon.
Can you see the scenes where it's before and after the repair? Because you know it was a repair. Like that was shot after that son stepped on it.
No. Well, the thing was there was each different stage for the vamp. They each had 3 sets of each one, so there was always an extra set floating around. So they weren't caught without. But we've just started season 2, which has got a lot more vampires, and that's all being shot over in Prague and Paris at the moment. And Dominic is handling all of those over in Europe because it's just simpler than shipping stuff all the way from the US to over there. But we've got that project. There's several other projects that I'm working on.
I saw you did the Whitney Houston movie.
Yes.
That was on my plane.
My wife was watching it the other day, and I'm like, I know the guy that made her teeth.
You're kidding me.
Yeah. The actress Naomi Aki, if you've ever seen Naomi, she has the signature London gap, and she's got a a fairly decent-sized diastema between 8 and 9. It's pretty noticeable.
But Whitney didn't.
Whitney didn't. Whitney had these perfect Hollywood, whiter than white, OM2 shaded teeth. So when they contacted me, first of all, someone else had tried to make these teeth, and it looked like someone had taken a thing of white paint and painted on a card. They painted white, black, white,
really?
And they looked horrible. I saw one of the screen tests, and they immediately, they said, no, this is absolute rubbish. And so we ended up, again, Naomi was in London. I had Dominic do a digital dental scan of her. We printed the models over here, and we basically did a set. We used I think it was like an OM2.
So did you have to pull up like a picture of Whitney and match those contours?
I matched them as close as I could within obviously limitations because
of the diastema,
Naomi.
For sure.
Well, no, the diastema was the easiest thing to close up. But obviously Naomi's facial contours, Naomi's gum contours were probably different than Whitney's. But when we put these in, and I actually flew to Boston to do a fitting with her, and I'd never met her before, and she was just the loveliest lady. And we put these things in, and she starts singing and dancing around the room, and I'm like, wow, that's absolutely mental, because all of a sudden she transformed. And I've got little videos that I shot on my phone of her doing it, and I said, Naomi, this is phenomenal. I said, not only have you absolutely nailed this accent, but you're doing this with a set of teeth in your mouth that you've never worn before. You've had them in for all of 90 seconds, and you're able to talk, you're able to sing, you're able to enunciate, you're able to do dialogue. And she was just thrilled, and she was dancing around the room and singing and laughing, and we were taking pictures, and they went on and they did the whole film, and she was able to carry out the role perfectly. And if you guys have seen the film, I Want to Dance with Somebody, it's phenomenal. In her portrayal, I think she really paid a huge tribute to
oh my God, I gotta watch
Whitney.
It
was just a beautiful movie. And the funny thing is, in that film, two other actors and actresses, there was the guy that played
Bobby Brown.
And of course,
everybody does.
He's got a big gap, doesn't he?
And of course, I'm blanking on his name, and he was a lovely fella. Came to see me, and of course, Bobby Brown had a signature gap, and the bloke that they cast did not have a signature gap. So,
vice versa.
Again, we have to make a set of veneers, and then what we do is I've got a material called Blackout, and all it is black acrylic. And we put the black acrylic down between 8 and 9, and we butt everything together, and we do it. We put the gum work on there, and if I handed it to you, you'd say, well, this is just dentures with a black piece in it. But once you put them in the mouth and you're shooting,
your lip goes over
no, it's not even that. It's you're shooting from the light into the dark, and because it's darker in the mouth than it is outside, the optical illusion is complete. It looks like you've actually got a gap there. So
awesome.
He wore it, and the actress that played Bobby Christina, she also had to have veneers because Bobby Christina had a gap, and the actress Bria Singleton that played
How
her
much fun.
didn't have one.
Wow.
So we made it for them, and I did all of those. A lot of teeth for that film, and that was just a lovely film. They were lovely people to work for.
So when you do that, do you make like two sets, one as a backup and one for them
sometimes
just in case?
sometimes there'll actually be 3 sets, and what will happen, I'll send 2 sets with them, and what we'll sometimes end up doing is, like with Naomi, there was actually 4 sets. Naomi had a practice set that she long before they started
she had
shooting.
To sing with it.
She wanted to have a set that she could wear every single day and practice.
Yeah, for sure.
And the dialogue coach wants them to have it so that they can do all the talking.
Yeah.
So there was 4 sets. Naomi had 1. The makeup department had 2, just in case one were to break.
Yeah.
And I kept 1 set back at the lab, just in case the makeup trailer burns down or whatever.
Yeah.
So I had references, but most of the times it's between 2 and 4 sets depending on the show.
Yeah.
And then we did a couple of other shows. We've got one coming up. I can't really name too much about it because it hasn't been released yet. But we've done some breakaway teeth. and I'll show you.
I saw that on Instagram. Yeah, that's kind of neat. Yeah.
What is it?
It's like, go ahead.
Well,
I got excited.
No, go on, tell it.
It looked like a denture. I don't think it is, but the tooth comes off, and then underneath it, it looks like the root and blood.
Wow.
So I'm guessing at some scene, someone's going to get tooth knocked out, or
hockey movie.
That's exactly
a hockey movie.
It actually is
Mighty Ducks.
It's actually more common than you think when we do fight scenes. They'll ask us to go ahead and make a set of something. Someone gets hit in the face.
Yeah.
There's one that will be coming out later this year. There's a guy gets infected by something, and he literally ends up waking up one morning and his teeth are loose, and he's literally pulling his teeth out on set. And I actually flew to, I think it was New York. They were filming, and because what we actually had, it was a set of veneers with the teeth on there, and the breakaway teeth, the ones he actually pulled out, are held in, and people say to me, "Oh, how do you keep them in?" I say, it's the simplest material that you'll ever find in a dental lab. It's dental card wax. It's tooth card wax.
Oh.
When you buy a set of denture teeth,
it's all stuck on there.
You've got that,
lovely
red wax. So what we'll do is we'll paint the inside of the socket, and then we'll take a little tiny piece of that red wax, about the size of a grape pip, and we'll press it in there, and it's red, so it blends
bloody,
in, and it holds that tooth in until such time as somebody just gets a hold of it, and they'll yank it out with a pair of pliers, or they'll get hit. It's the simplest thing, and we've experimented over the years. We tried with magnets, we tried with adhesive, but nothing works as well as red dental wax. And so
that stuff holds those teeth on those cards pretty hard.
It's amazing.
I mean, they ship UPS and they don't fall out.
I know. So it's like right under, and it took me ages to come up with it, and I'm sitting there looking at it, because when I ship the breakaway teeth, they're shipped on the actual broken teeth on a dental card, and I'm thinking to myself, why am I struggling to reinvent the wheel when it's right there under my nose? So,
and why did it take me so long to figure that out?
Exactly. So we do that. We do breakaway teeth, and we've got all sorts. I mean, we've got gold teeth, and making good teeth look bad and bad teeth look good. But you guys have seen all of that stuff.
All right. So last time you were on, I was super fanboying the fact that you made Larry David's missing tooth from Curb Enthusiasm.
The chipped tooth on the wax fruit episode.
Season 12 is getting ready to come out. Did you work with them at all? Did they have anything?
They haven't had anything.
Okay, I don't know.
So they haven't had anything.
No teeth related.
No, they haven't had any dental injuries. They haven't had any dental gags. And usually it's quite specific. They'll want something specifically for a certain episode.
That was a very, very tooth missing.
Yeah, it was one of those funny episodes, and they all hammed it up and whatnot. Right. But no, I haven't had a chance to see Larry in some time now. But rest assured, I'm sure if something comes up, they'll turn around and say, "Oh, they need something or other." Someone always comes up with a mad idea. Can you make X, or can you make Y, or is it possible to make something or other? And they'll ask me, and I'll sit around for a day or two, scratch my head and think about it, and usually we'll be able to put something together for them. It's a lot of fun, and it's funny being here at the show. I'm going around looking at all the denture teeth, and there's some really great denture teeth manufacturers out there. And the first thing they say to me is, "Oh, our teeth are really super hard." I'm like, no, I want teeth that are as soft can be, because I've got to sit with a burr and I've got to grind them to 1 millimeter shells. So I don't want teeth that are rock solid. I want to be able to. I don't want to burn my fingers to the bone every time I'm cutting a shell down. Yeah,
I have to make these things look like crap.
Exactly. Could you please make some? Could you make some pre-made crap-looking teeth that would make my life a lot easier? But fortunately, they do. They make some really nasty D4 shades and A4 shades.
That's what I was going to ask you.
And make your life a little easier.
Some of my favorite go-tos used to be the old Biotone shades, and now I'm this is probably before you guys. Yeah. My father used Biotone 81. That was about it was as yellow as the Yellow Submarine, but it was a great foundation for making really nasty looking teeth.
That's awesome. So let's not forget, let's mention that you actually do regular lab work for dentists.
Yeah.
I mean, we love to talk to you about all the famous and movies and all that, but you're in the trenches with all of us just doing crowns and stuff. Yeah.
No, actually, I don't do crowns. That was never. That
so
was
you're
never
all removable.
It was always dentures and partials. My dad was a 60-year veteran of doing, removables. And when my father started, this is how many years my father was in it. They were still making dentures out of vulcanite.
Vulcanite, yeah.
So
what's vulcanite?
It was like a rubbery.
Rubber. And the stuff stunk like all hell. It was actually just before plastics were they'd had plastics, but they were really in their infancy, so they were still using vulcanite. This was back in England. But no, when he came over here and I left school, I had no idea what I wanted to do when I was 17. It was just like, he said, well, you're not going to be sitting around doing nothing. He said, you're going to come into the lab.
That's what my dad did. I swear. I'm not kidding.
You started off doing the deliveries.
Yep.
Are you
kidding me? That's exactly where he put me.
Of course it is.
And then shipping.
And then sweeping up the floors.
All the
and
work.
cleaning out all the flasks and emptying the bins, and then you progressed onwards. You were allowed to pour a model or mix some plaster, make a custom tray, and then you progressed on to bite blocks, and then you started waxing up.
And then finally you got paid, maybe.
Oh, paid? You mean I could have got paid for this stuff? Now you tell me. But we. And then you started to learn setting up, and Dad was always the setup master, and I, for millions of years, I mean, throughout our career together, Dad always did the setups, and I would wax up and invest and polish and all that stuff, and Dad would do the filing up, I would do some of the filing up, and as Dad got older and his dexterity got less and less, I was doing more and more, and doing setups. But even after Dad retired, he was still coming into the lab,
mine too.
He says, "Oh, you got any bite blocks for me to make?" So I said, "How it's changed? It was me that used to make the bite blocks, and now you're doing the bite blocks. Now you
and
know
I'm not going to pay you."
He loved that lab.
Yeah,
and it's unfortunately, Dad he passed away last year, 88 years old, but. I'm eternally thankful to Dad for bringing me into the trade,
absolutely.
And giving
We're
me.
thankful for him for bringing you into it, Gary. I mean,
well, it was funny. It was because of Dad that we got into the special effects world, and I think I may have told you, but
you told us the Doubtfire story.
Yeah, it was one of Dad's very, very close dentists that was working on the makeup artist, who said to the makeup artist, asked him about teeth that fall out of a glass and fall out of someone's mouth, and he said, "Don't talk to me, talk to my technicians." And that was literally how it started. And we've been.
And that was Mrs. Doubtfire. How long ago was that movie?
93.
93.
Yeah.
Has that set of teeth ever been up on the prop market?
No, I've never seen
famous.
A set of those teeth. I still have.
A set of them?
No, I've still got the molds, Robin Williams' original molds, because back in the days we were doing gypsum and plaster molds.
Yeah.
And at the lab, and I'll send you guys a picture.
They're the boxes. I think you did last time.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've got hundreds and thousands of these little boxes
famous
with people's
people's
names on them. And now, obviously, it's all we're digitizing everything. So now I've got a computer full of little files, with
which is
STL
not as
files.
exciting. But
no, it's nowhere near as exciting. But it's still pretty cool.
It is what it is.
But, so what about you guys? What's been going on with I listen to you guys all the time, and you guys never ever seem to run out of interesting and fascinating guests.
Love it.
It's the industry.
It's so amazing.
Barb and I, we put in a lot of work to talk to a lot of people, but this podcast is not us.
Yeah.
I never consider us being the podcast. It's all the people we have on.
Yeah, but you know what? You guys drive the podcast. And if it wasn't for your personalities, listen, I've done podcasts, I've done talks on makeup and stuff like this, and I've done them with people that are like,
blah.
And it's just like, and then I made a set of these, and then I did this, and it's like, God, this is
somebody
boring.
Shoot me now.
Yeah, literally, no. But when you guys do your podcast, there's always something funny. There's always an amusing anecdote. There's always something that's bleeped out. On this week's episode of Swearing from the Bench, we've got bleep and bleep, 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 and bleep, 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 and this. And it's just like, yeah, Barb, you go, girl.
You know what's funny? It's very early when we started. Somebody reached out on social media, probably Facebook, and was offended by the way Barb bleeped and just...
So I've had to tone it down.
No, and we it was
sad.
one person, and I was like, wait a minute, really? Are you not a dental technician?
I think we're going to have to give Barb a big hug for that.
I mean, it's like, really? This is us being real.
Yes.
It's just what we... It's not like we personally go out to cuss, but...
Sometimes
We're
it's just the only word you can
technicians.
use, you know?
For crying out loud. And if you got a
Yeah.
problem, PBS is over there.
Listen, we're all adults. We're all grown-ups. We've all worked in the lab, and we've all been on the receiving end of, I've just deflossed the denture, and I'm taking off the model, and snap, and bang,
absolutely.
I've broken a brand new denture in
If
half.
you're not saying a bleedable word, you're not human at that point.
It's not a bleepable word. It is a blue streak that is still floating around somewhere over the San Fernando Valley. A string of epithets expletives that have been strung together to form a coherent, dictionary of swearing.
Yeah, agree. Been there, done that.
Yeah. So it is what it is. It's part and parcel of the industry. A crown flies, something goes wrong. Someone turns around and says, "Did you bother to read the prescription? It says number 14, and you've added number 13." It's just like, bleep moment.
Yeah.
It's one of those things. It is the industry. The industry. It's like,
it really is.
if you don't swear, you can't really be a dental technician. You can sort of be a helper, but you can't actually claim that you are a dental
Agree.
technician.
Thank you.
I love it. So that's what we've been doing. We've been working on our vocabulary.
But it's great.
And Elvis is working on pronouncing last names.
Oh,
Thank
no,
God
yeah.
yours isn't difficult.
Yeah.
Oh, it's just got 4 M's and a silent Q in it.
It's not my fault. I don't name these people.
No, I'm so glad you guys do this podcast, and it's just nice because it's lovely to hear, and I love doing it, listening to it when I'm driving or I'm on on a job or I'm away or something like that. It's just great just to sit and listen to the stories, because there's just so many interesting stories out there.
Yeah.
There's so many interesting people out there. It's just a lot of fun. So I hope you guys do. What are you guys up to? What number are you up to?
268. 269,
Yeah.
268.
Pretty damn close.
Wow.
5 years.
5 years. Now, how did you guys actually meet? How did you put
NADL
this
board?
together?
Yeah, we were both on the NADL board. I used to go to Cal Lab, which is a great meeting in Chicago, and she was always up on stage. And we kind of met through the NADL board. I mean, we were friendly but not friends, but really I had this idea of this podcast, and I was like, I know I didn't want to do it alone, and honestly, she had a lot of friends in the industry. And I'm
a little spunky sometimes.
And I was like, I need somebody that knows a lot of people.
Oh, behave.
Spicy is what he just called it.
Because I thought it would be hard to find guests. And I was like, Barb's popular. She's got a great personality. She'd be my yin to my yang. I'm more introverted. She's more out there. And it just
clicked.
You guys complement each other so well.
And we get along.
Actually,
it shows. Authentically.
And it shows.
Yeah.
It shows. You guys are probably good friends offline as well, and it shows because the way you guys interact with each other, and it's just like
it works.
It really does. Well, I wish you guys all the success, and I hope you guys do something special for number 300.
Yeah.
And
you know what I would love to do? And maybe I'm out of place here. But next time you're working on like a really great movie set of teeth, you and the person you're making the teeth for to come on and talk about the process. I'm sure there's all sorts of contracts and legal stuff that they don't do, but I would love to get their perspective.
Oh, yeah,
and
because
kind of
they're
come
like
together.
Totally outside what we do.
Right.
Plus, we want famous people on the podcast. But other than that, I think it would be really neat.
Yeah. What we could maybe even do is, I don't know, you guys are based on the East Coast or the West
Tampa.
Coast?
East Coast.
Yeah, bugger. Because I was going to say I'd have you guys come to the lab and actually do a podcast or do an interview from the lab if I've got something interesting going on. Would be actually really cool. You know, you never say never.
Yeah. Let's just keep the idea out there. I think it'd be fun to
definitely
do the process. I mean,
if not, you know, we will put something together. I would love to get my partner Dominic over when he finally.
He's the one that does the monster teeth.
He does
right?
the monster teeth, and
Venom. I think he did.
He's
that guy.
He's done a lot of stuff like that,
Those
and
teeth were
he's
crazy.
the maestro. He's the monster maestro, and he does a lot more of the digital stuff than I do. I mean, he's dragged me kicking and screaming from 1978 into the modern era, and if it wasn't for him, it's like we would be so far behind the eight ball. But man, he's just always got the ideas, and in fact, he just got back from South Africa. He's a certified Exocad trainer, and he does a lot of teaching. Of course, knowing the system like he does, we can use it with various applications for the FX field, printing stuff, milling stuff, and whatnot. So I'm hopeful at some point I'm going to get him over here, you know, to do some work with me side by side, and maybe I'll get him to get on a podcast with you guys, because you guys would love him. He's brilliant.
We love it.
Yeah.
There's episode 300 if we can make it happen.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And if you guys are ever out on the West Coast again, make sure you come by the lab. You know,
I'd love to go.
You guys are welcome to come by.
I'd love to go and steal Larry
when
David's
when you guys heading back to
this
Tampa?
afternoon.
Oh, yeah. You're gonna have to be sponsored by like Southwest Airways or something like that. Get you guys some free tickets and things like that.
Ivoclar sponsors us, and they're super good to us. That's why we're here. So we're excited about that.
Hey, listen, Ivoclar industry standard. You know.
Yep. Right on.
They just don't make airplanes, do they?
Not that I know of. Gary, thank you so much, man. Great to catch up.
Thank you so much for having me on. It's lovely to see it. It's lovely actually meeting you guys in the flesh. Finally,
absolutely.
And I didn't realize you were here when you mentioned that on my picture. When you said something about, what'd you say? Say it out loud. Cussing from the bench?
Oh, yeah, swearing
from the bench.
This week's episode, swearing from the bench. You know.
And I was like, I do swear.
Absolutely.
And then you rolled in. I'm like, sweet, you're here.
Good
awesome.
stuff.
Cool.
Well, thank you so much,
Appreciate
guys.
it.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. We'll talk to you guys again.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Bye for now.
Bye.
A huge thanks to Glen and Gary for sitting down with us at the Ivoclar table at LMT Lab Day West. It's really great to see technicians that used to make vulcanite dentures making digital dentures now. Just goes to show you, everybody, that with enough passion, determination, and a dash of crazy, every technician can keep up with all of the technology coming out almost every day our way. And of course, it's always good to hear from our own Hollywood star, Gary. We love what you are doing, but we really love hearing about what you are doing. You get to do so many great things that so many technicians can only dream about doing. So we will all have to live the movie life through you. Love it. Can't wait. I even watched What's Love Got to Do With It after we talked to him so I could see her teeth. So
did you judge them?
Yeah, no, I loved it. It was great. I'm like, I got to see her teeth. Can't wait to talk to you guys again after you make the teeth for when they make the voices from the Bench movie. Oh, wow. Really?
Yeah. I'm thinking hot off of Barbie, Ryan Gosling playing me. I'm just thinking that's the only choice.
He's pretty hot.
All right, everybody. That's all we got for you. And we will talk to you next week.
See ya.
Bye.
Oy. Okay. Oh.